Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. The world is ending. We're all going to die. World War III is going to happen. The next pandemic is right around the corner. The stock market's going to collapse. We're all going to be part of Big Brother monitoring us and chipping us, and Bitcoin digital currency. U.S. dollar's going to collapse. The beast system is here. We're all going to die. It's crazy. But hold on, I got to appease the other part of the listeners. Everything's fine. Nothing's really happened. I mean, you keep repeating the same things over and over again, and nothing has actually changed. Everything is fine. I don't see anything bad happening. Everything's all good. All the stuff that's happened in the new, administration, it's all good. It's good for us. We got to trust the plan. It's 4D chess. And eventually we're all going to be sitting around singing Kumbaya and holding hands together because absolute peace is coming. It's wonderful. And we're going to all be rich. We're all going to be rich and prosperous, and traditions are going to come back, and America is going to be great once again. There, I've tried to appease everyone. You can make an excuse either way. Some people see a glass half full. Some people see a glass half empty. Goodness gracious, Travis. Try to talk here. But there's definitely shifting changes that are happening. And while some of the things that's happened over the last several weeks appear to be good, at least could have great potential, there's certainly things that are happening that look bad. And here's the thing. This is something that we teach our children. And probably a lot of you parents teach your children the same thing, that all actions have consequences. And a consequence isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it is something that happens due to an action taken. And it may be good, it may be bad, it may lead to something bad, something like that. What's happening, all this stuff that's happening, there will be consequences for them, for these actions. Tomorrow, 25% tariffs are supposed to start on Mexico and Canada. And President said today that there's absolutely no chance to stop them. There's nothing that can be done. He also announced a full 20% tariffs on China. There's tariffs now being placed on any importing of farming equipment, anything to do with farming, agriculture. There's tariffs being placed on European stuff. And while in the end it maybe there's a chance that it works out good, it may help bring down the debt, it may cause companies to start shifting to American made products, there will be consequences in the short term. There will be consequences regardless, and some of those consequences could be bad. This stuff going on with Ukraine and Russia and Europe and NATO and everything, in the end there could be peace. Or in the end, America could just stop policing the world and say, you know what, if you guys want to blow each other to smithereens, as long as you leave us alone, we don't care. There's rumors that tomorrow night that Trump will announce that the beginning stages of pulling out of NATO. Those are just rumors. I've not seen anything solid other than internet rumors. My guess is that it's probably not going to be announced tomorrow, but it's possible. So I thought I'd go ahead and mention it. That could be good. We spend a whole lot of money, a huge amount of our troops. Our military force is dedicated to NATO. And, without the United States, NATO would be pretty much non-existent. About half or more of what is put into NATO, whether it be money or equipment and troops, is from the United States. So there's a huge savings there. We pulled out of NATO and we stopped funding that. We stopped sending our troops there. We could have better security here in the United States. We could save some money. Consequences, though, could be that there could be a major war in Europe. And maybe we just don't care anymore. You know, maybe if a war just stays on that side of the hemisphere, then, you know, it doesn't matter. But with this multinational, multicultural, all this kind of stuff, the global world that we live in, is there really any chance that a major war could happen and not affect the rest of the world? And I'm not advocating being part of it. I'm just saying that's a consequence. We have to understand that the things that are happening, whether good or bad, there will be consequences for them. And sometimes there will be good consequences. Sometimes it will be bad. You and I, whether we like it or not, on the political spectrum, we're at the bottom of the totem pole. That's why years ago I realized that even if you can affect the presidency by placing a ballot in a voting box, in the end, the national level of government is going to do what it wants to do. It's going to do what the lobbyists tell it to do. It's going to do what the big, influential organizations tell it to do. And in the end, it's not really going to care much about you. And so that's why I ended up shifting my focus locally, and not just local government or local politics, because while you can have more direct, action and direct influence on a local level, it's still pretty much just as corrupt as, the state or the national level. That's why I focused on the actual local community, because I feel that all this stuff that's going on, and there will be consequences, there will be things that will happen that will affect us, and maybe good, most likely bad, because I think in the end, regardless of what political party or agenda or whatever's going on, no one is really truly looking out for you and I. They're either looking out for the political hacks or the elites or the corporations or whatever. No one's really looking out for you and I. And so that's why I think that we as just individuals down at the bottom, us little peasants, I don't really think that we are, but that's what the globalists look at us as little ants down there that just irritate us, that do all the work, that create all the stuff, but they're irritant. You and I. That's why we have to turn our focus towards ourselves, our community, and God, and our family, and our own self-sufficiency, and all of that, because these things that are happening, whether it's done by Joe Biden or Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton or Elon Musk or Zelensky or Putin or the EU or NATO or whatever, Canada, Mexico, it doesn't matter. They have good and bad consequences, but regardless, they will affect us, and many times will affect us negatively, because we're at the bottom. Okay, prices will go up. The flow of money slows down. Inflation goes up. The availability of goods, more diseases. More this, more that, more. Immorality. Less. Biblical truths. All of the things that's been going on for decades, not just since Joe Biden took office. It's going to continue to happen. Unfortunately, I believe that is biblical. You go back to Reagan, and you go back to Clinton, or H.W. Bush, and H.W. Bush, and then W. Bush, and then Obama, and Trump the first time, and Joe Biden, and while the pendulum swings back and forth a little bit, government still got bigger. We still went into more debt. More rights were taken away. The world became, less moral. The standards were continually weakened. Humanity weakened as a species. All of these things. And it's because there's more to it than the politics. There's more to it than the governments. There's more to it than the gold and the technology. It's biblical. It's all part of the Bible. We are a physical being trying to figure out a physical life in a very spiritual way. You know, we're created by the Almighty. We're created by God, and put here to kind of live this physical life. And I think that, you know, a big part of it is we missed the mark. We were meant to give glory and honor to Him and to please Him, and many of us try, but humanity as a whole, you know, we focus on our selfish needs and making things better and easier and creation and all this kind of stuff that takes us away from what our original intent, I think, is. And I know that this video is all over the board and probably taken away from the original intent of this video. Where I'm trying to get to is that all actions have consequences, regardless. And the stuff that's happening, whether it's shifting alliances from Europe to Russia, pulling out of NATO, you know, a vaccine or not a vaccine, a border wall or not, or troops at the border, or tariffs, or you know, the next AI, all of this stuff, while it's different from what happened with the last administration, and in some ways better than what happened from the last administration, it still has consequences, and it still will affect us. And many times that effect will be a negative effect. Maybe good in the long run, but negative in the short run. You can't dramatically and drastically change things and expect that machine to keep ticking along smoothly. There's going to be disruptions to the system, and we have to be prepared for that, because the big guys aren't looking out for us necessarily. They say they are, but they're not. They're looking out for their donors or their banks or whoever it is. You and I need to be taking care of ourselves, our families, and our communities. And that's been a big message all along, is to become self-sufficient, is to become prepared, to become mentally, physically, and spiritually and solidly prepared. Not because you're going to be a doomsday bunker dweller, but because you are ready to take care of yourself, and you're ready to lock arms with your neighbors and to work together with them, because you don't need the people in Washington or in the State House or, you know, at the Prague or wherever, or, you know, Davos or anything else. You don't need those people. They need us. We don't need them. And, you know, we work with the people around us that we can actually build a connection, a relationship with. And so that's why I've pushed that we have to become self-sufficient. We have to be, you know, go back to our roots as humans, where we actually had relationships with the people around us, and we leaned on each other and we helped each other, because while I dislike communism, we were created to be a fairly communal people. That's where community came from. And we have to get back to that. That's part of this new, brave new world that they're creating, is to separate us from the people around us, our loved ones, our neighbors, our family, our friends. And so we have to get back to that. And when we do that, our dependency now is on God, our families, and the people around us that we are close with. And while we may depend on certain things from big corporations and banks and government, if those went away, it won't cripple us. You know, we will still get along without them. They just provide extras, right? And that's really where it needs to be. We need to be becoming more self-sufficient and more relationships with the neighbors around us and our community, and building a stronger bond with our family, and ultimately a stronger bond and relationship between us and the Most High. Because the world is getting worse. You can sit here and you can argue and you can point this or that out, and well, this is going to get better, where someone's going to fix this, well, the game is still being played and the 4D chess is going to work out favor for this or that, and it doesn't matter. The Bible tells us that the world is getting worse. The Bible tells us where the end is headed. And the Bible tells us that we are supposed to be set apart so that we do not fall prey to this wickedness of this world. And it's not going to be a president that's going to save us. And if you think that there's a president that's going to save us, then you really, really should read your Bible, because you're way, way off. We have a duty to each other and a duty to our Father, the relationship that we have with our Creator, with God the Father. And we need to be working on those relationships, and we need to be putting our trust in Him, and our endeavors and our efforts in our community and our family and in each other, because in the end, those are the things that are going to matter. What's going on in DC or the State House or at the UN or wherever, it's really not going to matter to us, other than just how their policies affect us, which is again why we should be prepared. So regardless of where you find yourself or how much you agree or you disagree with me, one thing that I would think you're going to have a hard time disagreeing with me is that all of these things will affect us, good or bad, and that we should get ourselves prepared, because the Bible tells us that the world is becoming worse, and that these people aren't looking out for us, which is why we need to put our focus on God and our relationships with the people, our brothers and sisters around us. That's hard to argue out, around that kind of stuff. And so that's what we need to be doing, because regardless of how it looks like things are getting better, the world is getting worse. And you can definitely chart it. You can definitely see it if you have the eyes to see it. So keep getting yourselves prepared. Keep getting your houses in order, because it doesn't really matter who's the leader, at least in the White House, or sits on the throne of some kingdom. What matters is that Satan, in the end, is the one that's kind of pulling the strings, and we know what he wants done. And so we need to turn our eyes on God and our efforts locally, our efforts with each other, because that's where it's going to matter. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.